Mano, check it out. See if the video and the sound is okay for video, please. Yeah, sound is okay. Mano, you seeing the video okay? Let me know. Hello everybody, we're back with the Qualpet Live show. Yesterday we had some issues with our, believe it or not, our alarm. The alarm in the studio was it actually what happened, I don't know if any one of you experienced this, but what happened was that Amazon went down, and a big part of Amazon's system, including the Ring alarm system. I'm advertising what alarm system we have now at the office and the studio, but the Ring alarm system wasn't working, and so we were trying to fix it, and the time ran on and it ran on. Before I knew it, it was 7 o'clock. I thought, you know what, take a break from the show. In fact, let me see how many people would miss me not doing the live, and not many people did. So that says a lot, eh? Not a lot of people miss me when I'm off the show. But anyway, here we are today. I need to get a better opening for this show, that once we're live, I roll right into it instead of rumble into it, talking about, inside stuff and irrelevant stuff. But anyway, here we are, December 10th, our Qualpet live streaming, daily live streaming show. Although we met yesterday because of the alarm system was acting up. Because of I was saying, Amazon system went down, and I guess a lot of people were affected. We had to get the alarm going, so we had to spend time, reconfiguring some of it and putting the keypad and all that. It was quite a task. It took a couple hours, but anyway, we're okay. Today so today's Friday, and this week this whole month we're focusing on the future, and I want to really emphasize that what kind of future we're going into. I know a lot of people from the status quo, they believe that the future is all real estate and physical reality. People still bandy about the word reality, right? Oh, reality, the future is about reality. Reality is what we gotta be concerned with. Of course we gotta concern with reality, but what our contention on this show, in our company, we're betting on the future on this idea that reality is now, for the very first time in human history, for millennia, for all the generations that went before us, all the ages that went before us, now is the only time we're moving into a future of a different kind of reality. And that reality is what? We talked about it all week, augmented reality. We're moving into a world of augmented reality, and that is a crucial thing. The future is all about digital. No matter what you say, how you turn it, how you twist it, how you argue it, what point you bring over, you might be caught up in a world where you're in the status quo and you want the world to stay the way it was because you benefited from the world. A lot of us benefited. Us in Canada and America and Europe, the rich countries, we all benefited from the old world. And we don't want to hear that a new world is coming, a new world where the young people of China, the teenagers of today all over the world, but also the young people in China, India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and Korea, and all over the world, the emerging economies, Brazil and all those places. These people are becoming, how should I put this very delicately? They're very tech savvy, and they're launching out into the new world with more zeal and more skill and more embracing that new world, the digital world, and they're becoming digital geniuses. This is why Indians from India they're now CEOs of the most of the big companies, the Fortune 500 companies, the mega multinationals like Google, Facebook, Twitter, Pepsi, they all have Indian CEO running them. And so the status quo is upset. And I'm going to say that. The status quo is very upset. You talk to people who are in the old economy, there's a writer from Canada, Peter C. What's his name? tell me I forgot his name. He wrote Newman, Peter C. Newman, who was also editor of the Toronto Star, the biggest newspaper in Canada. He's old now, he's like 1991 or something. But he wrote two significant books, which I have on my bookshelves. One is called The New Titans, and one is called The Old Titans. And he talked, this was way back when he was younger, of course. So he wrote those books around 20 years ago, around the year 2000. But they've really sat with me and affected my consciousness. Because what we're going through now, I'm experiencing it because I move in a circle. Well, I don't move in a circle, but I do connect with a circle of the politicians and the what Peter C. Newman called the establishment, the old establishment, especially in my city, but in Canada on the whole, the heavy political system, except for Trudeau. Trudeau is the one who brings in the immigrants, and I'm not making a judgment call on this, mind you. Some of it I don't agree with, some of it I'm neutral about, but some of it I agree with, right? So what Trudeau is doing is opening up Canadian federal government. You see people wearing turban, and you see people wearing hijab, and the immigrants, he's pushing them, right? One was a Muslim guy who immigrated from somewhere, Algeria or Sudan or somewhere, became immigration minister. That kind of thing is happening in Canada, but it's not mainstream. It's token. It might be just window dressing, right? I mean, Trudeau has his government, his cabinet with 50-50 men and women, which is fine, which is beautiful actually. That's lovely. But in terms of the old establishment is extremely upset by this new world that we're moving into. And when COVID came and affected businesses, and because let's say COVID, let me be very delicate again. If COVID was designed, let's go with that, right? Let's just say by some, not conspiracy theory, but by some theory that COVID was designed. The reason it was designed is to change society, is to move society away from what Michael Moore dealt with in a documentary. My mind is on democracy. On a documentary called The Corporation. He put out that documentary maybe 5-10 years ago. I don't even know, but I watched it several times. And he basically said the corporate world, which is capitalism, became parasitic and became psychotic. He actually used that word. He likened the multinational corporation that rule the world, because capitalism is where companies rule the world, right? I mean, Tesla is worth nearly $1 trillion, right? Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, each company individually is worth $1 trillion, whether close to or over $1 trillion. That is more than half the countries of the world. So these companies are very, very wealthy and powerful, much more than countries, right? And so Michael Moore did a documentary and called them, psychopaths. They behave like a human being who is a psychopath. That's how the corporations behave. And if you watch that documentary, it's called The Corporation. It was produced by Michael Moore. I don't know if you might find it on YouTube or somewhere online. But the point I'm getting at is that the old establishment, the people who believed in real estate and corporate buildings, the people who believed in the old economy, that everything was profit driven, that you didn't have to care about social issues like refugees, immigrants, the poor, the afflicted, the disabled. These people who are of the old establishment, in the capitalist world, they pushed back a lot of this. And in fact, when I think it was Eisenhower in the United States who implemented, I don't know if it's Eisenhower, it might be somebody else, maybe George Washington, who implemented something called the Great Deal in America, which completely changed the social face of America. And there's the Republican Party. I'm a conservative person because, I like conservative values, except for the fact that their social values, the social values of the Conservative Party in America and in Canada and in Europe and all over the world, they don't have humane values anymore. They've sacrificed their humane values, and so they became very draconian and harsh and almost cruel, right? And so the Republican Party in America right now, conservatives in Canada are we're Canadians, we're compassionate people, we're kind, we're nice people. But in America, they're not. The Republican Party is like so upset that society is changing so much. And when Biden brought in his $4 trillion program, that program is really for the social situation in America, to improve the social life of the people who are ordinary people. In fact, he's taxing the super rich, right? And I'm just saying a point here. What we're talking about is the future. What kind of world we're moving into. Remember, the show is the Pulpit Life, and you know, we're all about authoring our future and designing the life that we desire and living our possibilities, right? And in investigating what that future is that is rushing towards us, we have to be cognizant. We have to take into consideration. We got to take stock. We got to count our cost of the kind of world we live in. There is a group of people, and the Republican Party reflects that group, the conservatives of the world. There is a reason they're called conservatives, because they want the old way. They want the status quo. They don't want to change. And then you have the liberals and the Labour in England and the Democrats in the rest of the world. In Germany, they call them social democrats, and even Christian social democrats. These are people who harbor humane values. Like the Liberal Party of Canada is the one that implemented the Charter of Rights and Freedom, which actually is the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau now. His dad, who brought that in, I think in 1980 or something like that, brought in a social program, if you will, called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And believe it or not, a lot of conservative Canadians are upset by that thing. They don't like it, despite it giving rights to themselves. But it gave rights to a lot of immigrants and a lot of people outside the establishment. So what I want to talk about today, as we consider the future, is the old establishment versus the new establishment. This is crucial. I'm going to write. So one of the things we're doing in the company, just on a side note, is ramping up our ebooks. Right? I should wear a jacket. Anyway, we should be. I have a sweater instead. But it's Friday anyway, so we dress now. Right? Why do I go there? Anyway, so where was I? I lost my train of thought. Oh boy. The old establishment. The old establishment is, and I encounter these people, right? They're millionaires, they're rich, they're not millionaires, multi-millionaires, and they own society, right? They own the crux of cities and stuff. And then you have the new people coming in, like the Chinese and the Indians, even people from Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and South America, Brazil and stuff. They're coming into the United States and Canada and Europe, and I'm not talking about the refugees, I'm not talking about the average immigrants, I'm talking about business people. Business people are coming into these rich countries from emerging economies, and they're bringing money with them because money is flowing in China. Well, now it's kind of, tempered a bit, but in China, India, you can cream up some capital, maybe from ancestral land and stuff, because it was very feudal up to the 1980s. Those countries never really went through the industrial age till 1980s or something, or 1990s actually. But now some of their citizens are converting their assets, whatever it was, land and all those things, into cash and investments that they bring to these countries, and they buy up land and they buy a building and they move into cities. So the city I live in now, a lot of immigrants own the restaurants and the small businesses, right? They still haven't gone into the big business yet. What I find with immigrants, they still think are very small. They don't believe in themselves yet, but they're at that. They're rising. They're rising. At one time before, you had the Italians and the Greeks and the Russians and all those people coming in and doing what now the people from the emerging economies, India, China, Sri Lanka, Brazil, South Africa and stuff, what they are doing, right? And consider that even some of the big companies in America, we should talk about that when we get into the new establishment. The old establishment, let's deal with that. The old establishment is panicking, they're angry, they're upset, they don't know what to do because they feel threatened, right? And Peter C. Newman dealt with this for their the generation before them, which is back 20 years ago. The people, the people that Peter Newman called the new titans or the new establishment 20 years ago, today they are the old establishment. You get it? But 20 years ago, what was the new business people, they are now the old business people. They are now the old business class, and they are panicking. They are completely at sea, lost with the new world that is coming. And we need to understand this if we're going to move into the future. If we are going to play in a way that is powerful, right? Because that's what we need to do. You can't play weak. You got to play powerful, because the future is not for the weak. The future is not for the faint-hearted. The future is you courageous, strong, and move forward, right? You got to believe in who you are, and you got to say, you know what? I'm good enough. I'm intelligent enough. We are good enough. We are intelligent enough. We are skilled enough to rise to whatever height we want in these societies, right? Not because we want to take over the society. I believe Canadians, like a lot of people come here, and yes, I'm talking about different things, but a lot of people come here and they don't change their clothing, they don't change their culture and how they carry themselves. No, I mean, we have ministers who are wearing turbans. That's un-Canadian. I don't agree with that personally. That's my personal view. And this has nothing to do with disliking the people. It's not nothing to do with the people. Canadians have a certain identity. Yes, we don't know what that identity is, but Canadians are Canadians. We're westernized, and we should uphold those values. So in that sense, I agree with the old establishment that we don't want to kind of drastically change Canadian society. But I'm talking economically, I'm talking power, I'm talking politics. For the first time in the last elections in Canada, on a local level, on the municipal level, we had new immigrants being elected to councils, right? Including my friend who went to the same high school that I went to, and he's a councillor in Ajax, Ashmead Khan, and I hope he listens to the video. So we have some new people in power, in politics, who are not of the old establishment, and that is spilling over into the business class. And the business class is important because remember, the economy is where power plays. Even politicians, they bow to business people. That's why corruption is so heavy in the world. Like in America, they call it lobbying. You do lobbying in a poor country, they jail you for corruption. Not the poor countries, they love corruption. They're always corrupted. But the US would say, oh, there's corruption in Nigeria and this country and that country. When those people who are corrupt, they're doing the same thing that people do in America, which they call lobbying. So you change the word and you change the whole thing, right? It's crazy, it's silly, the world is in such a bad state that's why I like what Mark Carney is doing. Mark Carney used to be the governor of the Central Bank of Canada and the governor of the Central Bank of England, and he's taking on the resetting of the world system, what Prince Charles has labeled the Great Reset, or the Mark Carney is really into it's his baby, his initiative, his project for the clean climate mandates to be implemented around the world. He's taken that on, and he came out of the banking system. He came out of the economic system of the world, and he said, you know what? It doesn't work. Everybody has the profit motive. People are waking up every day and thinking, I need to go get money, I need to go get money. It dehumanizes the human being. If I have a company and all my thinking is how much money I can get today, I don't care what I do to human beings, I don't care what I do to the environment, I don't care what I do to myself, because there are people who run companies and they don't take care of themselves, especially the older generation, right? They don't, they're so obsessed with sitting at that desk or running their factory, whatever they do, to make money. It sickens me when I meet a business person and all they talk about is money. Their whole paradigm is money. There's one guy I know from an Asian country, I wouldn't say where, but all he was obsessed with money, and you talk about values to him and he was like, that has nothing to do with business, you won't make profit like that. I stopped talking to him. Because Mark Carney said he wrote a book called Values, which we had to reconfigure our thinking. When we are doing business, it has to be value driven, not profit driven. As much as we need to consider the economic side of life, right? So we on this show and we in this company, we're not sitting back and being soft and being small-minded. No, we're stepping out with boldness and courage, and a lot of people don't like it, but life is what it is, and we're going out there to make a difference, and we make a difference for you. We want you to understand what the future is about, and understand that I live in a city where the old establishment is stifling growth and progress. Innovation is a word they don't want to hear about. The future they don't want to hear about, right? So, and this is worldwide. The conservatives, the status quo, the old establishment is really pushing back. Okay, having dealt with that, let's go to the future. What is the future going to be like? Without a doubt, without any reservation whatsoever, we should by now, the smallest child will tell you, and yet older people don't want to admit it, but the smallest child will tell you, the toddler will tell you, that the future is about digital. Everything is digital. Everything is going to be digital. And augmented reality, which is a reframing or an innovation or a redefinition of what reality is. Augmented reality is the future of what they call AR, which is what Zuckerberg meant when he talked about the metaverse. Now, so we have to know this. We know for sure that the future is a digital future. We know for sure that the old establishment, people who have printing presses instead of 3D printers, people who build steel and concrete structures instead of smart homes and smart buildings, people who run old businesses the old way, and all they care about is that profit that they could generate instead of installing, or what's the word I'm looking for, instituting new values in their societies, in their communities, through their enterprise, through their business or organization. Those people are upset, so we got to realize this, that we're moving into a digital future. The old order, the old establishment is very, very upset, and they're pushing back and they're fighting. And when I say fighting, I mean they're really trying to stop the progress, right? We see, now a lot of people might say it's not progress. We see it as progress. Some people don't. Some people see it as disrupting my life, changing me, killing my business. And that's what a lot of these people say. They say the old establishment is saying, oh, it's killing my business. But there's a new, I don't want to use the word class, there's a new rising in the world to take over the digital platform that is emerging, that is now being built. Is a new, I guess we have no choice, group of people. I don't like to box things, right? We have the new titans are emerging, the new titans, the new establishment. And that new establishment, they are so different from the old establishment. They're very, very different. They think differently. They're solution driven. They're innovative. And you know, like for example, Tesla. Elon Musk is from South Africa. Elon Musk immigrated to America from South Africa and blew the old establishment away, figuratively of course, and built $1 trillion company. Tesla and SpaceX and you know, I think one, what's it called? Neuralink. And he's blazing a trail across the earth. Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon. You know where he's from? His parents are from Cuba. They're immigrants from Cuba. He grew up super poor, if there's such a thing, really, really poor in Miami and Florida, in the Cuban community. But today he owns $1 trillion company. So this is the new establishment. The new establishment are people who are not from the old order, from the old establishment. The old immigrants of Canada, especially the Anglo-Saxon persons from England and stuff. I don't want to, this is a live streaming, so I wouldn't get into naming names of nationalities and all of that. But the old establishment came from a certain part of the world, and they dominated this new land of Canada and America. They did a lot of good. Listen, I will forever be grateful to them, and I would urge you to be great, especially immigrants to these countries, to be grateful to the old order, the old establishment, the old generation. You know why? They built these societies. The people who built Canada and built America and built Europe, They built a place, a civilization that everybody from all over the world, including even as China is booming, as India is developing, and Brazil and South Africa and all the emerging countries, their citizens still long with a big dream to go to America or to come to Canada or to go to Europe, right? Why? Because these civilizations became not only rich and wealthy and technologically advanced and socially well developed, but they also became humane places. Places of compassion and kindness and human rights. There's a reason Trudeau would put a turban person to be Minister of Defense in Canada, because they implemented a system that is compassionate and humane and kind, and we must be grateful to them for that, because they made humanity better, right? They made humanity way better. Having said all that, I want to focus for the rest of let me see. Oh, we have maybe 15 minutes more. So actually, yeah, maybe 10 minutes more. Because the live show today is not going long. It's Friday, and they say it's going to be heavy rain tonight out here in Ontario, but that's fine. The new establishment. This is my goal. This is my agenda. That you and I, you're watching me now, you're listening to this show, whoever you are, whatever age you are, whatever background you are, we have one goal, which is we are opening up an avenue where we move, whatever our life was pre-COVID, post-COVID, we are the new titans, we're the new establishment. Not because we're arrogant and we think we can do this and we can do that, no, but because we see the future. That's why I do so much studies, because I want to share. If you don't have the time to read the books or to research, that's what we do in this company. We do the research, we do the analysis, we come up with the ideas, and we share it with you, and we're going to share it with you in ebooks. Soon we're launching our weekly ebook release. Every week we're going to have an ebook release, and the cover of each ebook is going to be an NFT. We're going to do that, right? We're working on it. This live streaming will be a 24/7 show in the first quarter of next year, January. We're working on that. So these things will be rolled out, but our ebook especially will talk a lot about these things. And we want you to be on that road with us. Come and join us. The new titans are moving into a world, the new establishment is moving into a world of digital life, not only digital economy. Everything is going to be digital, every single thing. The metaverse is going to basically replace the internet, and that is an astounding thing to even think of. The metaverse is now within the internet. It will replace the internet. It's the new internet. That's what the metaverse is, that Zuckerberg and 1,000 companies are working on. And that's the future. The future is a digital future. And the future is a future where we're on the cusp of that future right now. We're moving into it. We're moving out of the old order, which was the industrial age. So we talked about this a lot before. The old order was the industrial age. The future is about the knowledge age and the age of technology, the digital age. So we got to consider three factors. That the old order, the old establishment, they're very upset, they're very angry, they're panicking, they're pushing back. They want to stop the change. So we're going to see some chaos because of that. The second thing is, the future that we're moving into is a new reality called augmented reality. It's a digital future. It's a strong transformation that is going on, a fundamental transformation that never happened in history before, where we're shifting from one space dimension to a new space dimension. I don't know how to break that down. We're moving from one space dimension, which is what we call physical space, where we're limited by gravity and all those things, into a new space dimension. That's where life would happen. That's where we would live. That's where we would have friends. We would go out and have entertainment. We would do educated as well. We would do everything in that new space called augmented reality. And that new space dimension that we're moving into is real. Not only real, but even ever so more powerful than the current physical space that we had for the past all of humanity. That's how fundamental the change that is happening is going on. And so we need to understand that the old establishment is upset, and they're not going to go down without a fight. for the new establishment and the new titans to take up the power and lay out the platform for the new society, this 24th century society. And the second thing we have to understand is that the future is all digital in terms of augmented reality. So digital doesn't mean non-reality. Digital means augmented reality. That's the new future we're moving into. And the third thing we need to understand, which I'm going to just leave on the table, and next week we can continue. I really want to emphasize some things that we dealt with a lot before, but I want to renew, like keep saying them till it lives in our consciousness. We're awakened to these things. We must be awake. We must be completely focused on you remember we talked before about alignment. We got to be completely in alignment with the road that we choose to go on, following those signposts and moving into creating the future that we want, into altering our future, into designing the life that we think we deserve and that we desire, right? It's a mama task, but guess what? It's very exciting. It's very, we set our goals so big. Let me tell you this. We set our goals so massive. You have no idea that every day I wake up as CEO of this company, it's a task to believe in it, to believe in the future, and to gather in the resources that we need. We needed the right team members for our board, for our staff. Next year we're doing so much. Because the media part of the company, let me tell you what's going on, and then we'll wrap up. The media part of the company exists for a particular reason, which is to brand Qualped, so that when we go on the stock market, Qualped has a high share value, and the shareholders can be well compensated. That's why we do a media section, but our main company is a technology thing. We are the future of the book, right? We're inventing a new future for people to read and really enjoy reading, just like they enjoy watching a movie on Netflix or listening to music on YouTube or Spotify or whatever. So we're a technology company focused on the future of the book, but the way we brand ourselves is by a media operation, which comprises the live streaming operation, our magazine, a newspaper called People Today, a headline site and all. You're going to hear about and the ebooks that we're going to start releasing very soon. So you're going to hear about all that more next year. I say all that to say this. We need to realize what kind of future is coming. The old establishment is very upset. They don't understand what's going on, and they're going to push back and expect that to happen. The future is a digital future, which is augmented reality. Augmented reality means reality, augmented, magnified, as we said before. And the third thing that we need to realize is that you are empowered. I really want you to get this, and we're going to keep doing it all next week. I'm going to focus on this one thing as we talk about the unfolding future. The unfolding future is the empowered individual, from a perspective that you need to develop your message. Your message has to be, I put something on Instagram maybe last night or this morning, talking about your mesmerizing message. Your message has to be so inspiring, so beautiful, that it touches hearts and souls, and we want to help you craft your message, which is a story that you create. It has nothing to do with your chronological life, listing your history. It has to do with considering your history, but creating a future story, a fictional world that you move into and create. And we dealt with this before. If you haven't heard it before, we're going to deal with it again next week, because I want us to really, that thing to be embedded in our spirit, our mesmerizing story. We got to create a good message that is us. I am the message to the world. You are a message to the world. In the digital age, we take that message and we mediate it. We mediate it across the world, across the global platform, in this new augmented reality world that is emerging. That we build, we become the new establishment, the new titans, the new power brokers who build out this thing, right? So message, mediate your message on the global platform, and then of course bring in members who connect with you, and that way you develop a cooperative economy, right? So we're going to deal with all these things next week. If you haven't heard these things before, I rushed through the last part of it, where you can watch our videos from before and enjoy it, right? So I think we didn't go a full hour, but I think we went like 45 minutes today. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your Friday night and your weekend. Don't do anything bad. Do something constructive. Read a book. Read Tolstoy or some nice novel, and enjoy the evening with your people. Right? Okay, take care.